Hi there, it's Brian Sebastian, Movie Reviews and More, Women on TV.tv, IT 247 out of Franklin, Tennessee, and the Worldwide TV Network, formerly known as the Women's Broadcast TV Network. And today, hey, if it's Monday, it's about fitness. You got to have that motivational Monday, right? That's the case. So with that, we have a special guest now. We've never met before, but I have a feeling you know the last name Sebastian. And I always say this, if you know the last name Sebastian, some of us have to be good. All right, who are you? Where'd you come from?
Hi, good morning to everyone. My name is Chinggay Andrada-Gurango. I currently live in Las Vegas, Nevada, but born and raised in the Philippines. So I've been all over the place. As far as where I've stayed and where I've resided, I was in Seattle, Washington from age 12 up to in my 30s. And then from there, went back to Manila, Philippines for about a decade, where I've had the most amazing experience with having such a great, incredible opportunity to do everything and all things fitness. But now I'm here in Vegas.
Talk about that, the traveling of aspect. Have you always been in the world of fitness? How did that happen for you?
So Brian, this is such a great story to tell because it involves one of my siblings. I am the youngest of 7 children, 5 brothers and a sister. Yes. And as far as my family life, I'm very grateful and blessed that so far we have 15 grandkids, 2 great grandkids, and 1 great grandkid on the way to be born in December of this year. So yes, I see your face, Brian. You're like, wow. So yes, I come from a very big family.
Wow. Interesting. About the world of fitness the way it is now, because
yes,
it's changed a lot. We met through Elaine Goodlad. I've always kind of going back to Tammy Lee Webb from Buns and the Abs of Steels, if you ever heard of her. She's a friend till this day. She was the first person to come on my show in 1994 and actually worked me out. And this was a public access show. And now she had sold 15 million tapes by this time. Mm-hmm. Imagine that.
And that's awesome.
So it's one of those things where I always admire women who were in that. I always thought of that was a good world. You know, when I would talk to Arnold Schwarzenegger about his movies, no one ever brought up fitness, which is very interesting. It was always about the movies. And I'm like, right. Arnold, how can you not go back into what he's created with the Arnold Classic and things like that? Where are you aspects of working out and fitness, and what are some of the favorite routines that you like to do?
So my passion for fitness started when I was 15 years old. So for my 15th birthday, this is going back in time, my brother, who is, and to this day, who is in his 50s, still loves everything about fitness, asked me what I wanted to do on my 15th birthday. So I'm like, hey, why don't you take me to that gym that you go to all the time? And it was Gold's Gym. This was back in Seattle, Washington. So for my 15th birthday, he took me to the gym. He introduced me to all the dumbbells. This is what it is or whatever. And from that, I was super hooked. So that was X amount of years ago. Yes, you are absolutely right. Fitness has evolved, especially in the last 5 months. And we can talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, fitness for me, working out for me is like drinking water. I feel completely dehydrated when I don't go to the gym. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm working out crazy every day, but anything to get my heart rate going, anything to keep me active. Because at the end of the day, I have a 12-year-old, very active daughter. So what I'm doing this for is actually to keep up with her. So we all have different reasons why we do what we do. But at the end of the day, the important part is that I'm keeping myself active. And there are 24 hours in a day. Therefore, I'm sure that all of us with proper commitment and drive can devote an hour or 2 a day to health and fitness. So I'm hoping I'm able to do this for the rest of my life. And that is the goal. It's not something that I just want to do for the summer, but rather it's a part of my daily schedule. And going back to how you and I connected, Elaine Goodlad and I have been best friends for a long time. That is what got us through so many different parts of our lives where it might have been challenging. There might be struggles, but going to the gym, again, it's like drinking water, and it keeps you going throughout your day, and it gets you through the bumpy rides of life. And that's why I'm here.
You're a mom. You don't look like a mom.
I am a mom. Aw, thank you. So can say, Brian, that it's really all about taking care of yourself and doing it for all the right reasons. Going back to my family, my dad is 92 years old
Wow.
and he still goes on walks if he can help it. If his doctor did not tell him, I'm sorry, James, that you can't swim anymore, to this day, Brian, he would still be swimming. My mom is 85 years old, just turned 86. Same
Wow.
thing with her. She can actually walk faster than myself certain days, but it's in our blood. And I'm very grateful to have such a great family support system. You know, my parents have been married for 63 years. So if anything, that's my motivation. I want to be that kind of a couple. I want to be that kind of a mother figure to my daughter. So many different things that I'm super inspired of and by, but this is me for the rest of my life, and I'm hoping that somehow, little by little, we influence one person or two or three a day to just get going and keep moving.
How were you able to deal with being locked down? How did your daughter deal with that? And what did you incorporate in the world of fitness to keep your mind going with your body and soul?
Great question. Prior to March, my garage was just a garage. Now in August, it's now a garage turned into a gym. I turned my garage into a gym. I
Yeah.
had the floors done, I had the walls painted, I ordered equipment, I have a mat in there. So everything that you would need to just have a really good workout, it's now in my garage. So there's no more excuses. Like I'm 10, 15 steps away from a gym. So as far as what has been in my head before, oh, the gym's too crowded, or I can't get there because of my schedule. Now there's absolutely no more excuses. So that's been the biggest change. That's been the biggest blessing. Just having that opportunity, having that mindset to go, you know what, I can't go to here. So now what do I have to do to make it work? Now it's in my home. So with my daughter and I, we work out in the gym 3 times a week. As you know, here in Vegas, it's now 114 degrees. That's our schedule. So we got to get in the gym in our garage at 7 in the morning if we can, or at night we go on walks. So we have to consider that being outside, it's super hot, right? So you just have to keep in mind the schedule. So now we stick to a schedule. I go out and walk at 7 o'clock in the morning, or if I have the energy, work out, because unfortunately, a blessing that I'm able to work from home. So that is a set schedule from 8 to 5, Monday to Friday. So before I start work, just get in an hour workout, get in a walk. My daughter's still in bed, but she started school today. So it's a matter of adjusting to the schedule and going back to your question, the mindset, right? Wow, I know that we're all having such a hard time right now. And I think taking into that consideration that one day you may not have the best of days, but then you pick yourself up the next day. And that's literally what I've been doing the last, 5, almost 6 months that we've been in this situation. But more importantly, just a lot of different things have happened. My relationship with my daughter has gotten better because we're in front of each other, now more than ever. So if anything, the mental mindset, the usual conversations that we never had the time or we didn't think we had the time to do is now in front of us. Every day I make it kind of not really a mission, but I make it a point to ask her, how are you doing? Because we don't know what goes on in a mind of a 12-year-old. This
That's
is a
right.
lot for them to take in, Brian, not being able to see their friends, that normal interaction, the hugs, and the everyday thing that before, which is so automatic that we do it, right? But now it's not there presently. And we're hoping that it all comes together very soon. But the one thing, Brian, normal conversations, everyday conversations. I encourage my daughter to call and reach out to at least 3 friends in a day because she may be in a good place, right? But a phone call to somebody these days would make such a huge difference. I no longer even text anybody. It's now a phone call. If I'm gutsy, a FaceTime phone call, just because that interaction with people nowadays is so much more important than ever. So the relationships, the mental mindset of reaching out and just making sure that when you ask somebody, how are you doing, that really you take the time to listen and how they're doing and if it's helping them and if there's anything that you can do to help them. Now more than ever, it's connecting with people. It's just so important.
Well, the important thing like that, I've always picked up the phone and called people. I had people saying, Brian, what do you call? Because I make sure I can hear your voice to see what's going on. Now
Yes,
it's even more
absolutely.
important. So, but I've been doing this all of my life anyhow. Even when I moved from Connecticut to California, I'm in Las Vegas now, but when I was doing that, they go, my old friends I went to high school with, they go, well, Brian, why are you still called? We're married now. I'm like, because I want to check up to see how you're doing. I'm doing fine. I've never been married. I don't have kids, but all my friends did. So I kind of know what they go through. I've seen it. That's why I said, you don't look,
Right,
mom, you look too happy. But you explain why you are happy. Because I know everybody who's doing the opposite of that, where they're all of a sudden they were together
right,
30 years and now they want to get divorced.
right,
Because and that's very interesting hearing the stories. Very, very intriguing. But also
right.
at that aspect of
Of course.
who did you look up to when getting into the world of fitness when you started at 15? Was there anybody you were looking at and saying, oh, I kind of want to be like this, or maybe I might want to do that?
So, um, wow, Corey,
Corey Everson.
Corey, Miss, yes. Oh my goodness, absolutely. Rachel McLeish. I mean, Brian, we're going back in time. Yeah, these two women, I remember. So at age 15, I started working out. I started going to the gym with my brother. Then I started doing other things, whether it was dance or whatever. But it was really being in the gym and holding the dumbbells and the squat rack and that power that you know you can put into your body is just through hard work and consistent workouts. It's just amazing what a body can do if you just consistently do what is good for it, right? Whether it's your nutrition, whether it's the workouts, you know, of course, I'm all about taking breaks. Absolutely, right? That is just as important as putting in the work when you train. But yeah, it was Miss Corey, Miss Rachel, just the way that they were on stage, the way they talked about health and fitness. It's like they were really living that life. I remember that was literally my um, earlier stages of inspiration or fitspiration. And Brian, just keep in mind, and I'm sure you have this in mind as well, that at that time there was no social media, right? It was all about, gosh, how do we remember? How did we hear of them? Magazines. There's no
Magazines,
other way.
and then at that point, like Tammy V. Webb was putting out for videos. Billy Blanks was putting,
Yes,
all friends was putting
absolutely.
at that point, because Billy Blanks was my sensei when I took was fighting on a karate team in Connecticut. Little did I know, I never knew he was going to be an action star. You know, we joke about this till today. This is in the early '80s, and you know who knew
Right.
going to create Taiba. And then you know when I saw
Yes.
Corey and Rachel started doing B movies, which were good. And Corey was like, she started doing those other tapes too. So I remember meeting them in the home video world and saying, wow, these are great women. And I looked at them in awe. I wasn't looking at the guys. I was looking at the women. I'm like, wow, this is incredible. That was my inspiration, if that made sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, the transformation and just it's just incredible. And again, at that time, it was just about word of mouth, magazines. That was literally how you connected with these fitness stars. But now, obviously, in 2020, it's a different scenario, right? As far as getting information about somebody being somewhere and being in touch with your fitness, you know, inspirations. It's quick. It's just a matter of a message on Instagram or Facebook. It's the reach is so much quicker, access is so much quicker. But yeah, those were Miss Corey is Miss Rachel. To this day, I still remember looking through magazines and
Talking
hearing of
about
them.
traveling around the world, what that's like to be that strong, motivated woman and being in the world of fitness. What is that like when you're traveling to different countries?
So in Seattle, I wasn't that involved in the world of fitness. If anything, I was just working out a lot, whether it was with my friends or with a boyfriend at the time. But just keeping track of that, even through my college years, it was just a priority for me to get a workout in and then knock out my college courses. At the time, I was also working two jobs. So I was literally on campus at the University of Washington, just strictly for school. And I would remember I would park my car in a parking lot, hop on a bus, be on campus for school, and that was it. And I would leave and then go to my other two jobs. So it didn't really hit as far as what I could really do in the world of fitness, Brian, until I lived in the Philippines. So after college, I tried my luck to be a broadcast journalist in Seattle. This was back in the 90s. Um, no luck there at the time. So I decided to travel back to the Philippines just on a vacation with family. But I loved everything about the Philippines so much that I decided, you know what? There was an audition for a TV show, a local TV show. And I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just give it a shot? Let's see what happens. And so I auditioned. On the day I was supposed to travel back to Seattle, the producer called me and they said, well, do you want to stay and do this show? And I'm like, I'm about to be on a flight to go back home. I said, well, if you want to do it, it's yours. And that was the start of a very blessed career in fitness and sports. I stayed behind Brian. And for the next 10 years, I was in the world of sports. We had a TV show. I was also part of a radio show. But if anything, that gave me the opportunity to really branch out and do everything that I've always wanted to do in fitness. I opened up a boxing gym and I taught classes. That was a great year. This was back in 2005 and 2006. And that was really when I felt like, wow, this is really what I want to do. That was so long ago. Gosh, you're taking me back in time, but that was just the best, blessed
I tend to do that.
part of my life. It's a great reminiscing moment. Yes. So, yeah, I had a gym at the time. I was doing a TV show at the time and also a radio show. It was all intertwined, Brian. It was all about fitness and I just couldn't get enough of it. It was always a moment where you can inspire somebody not to do as much as what you're doing, but just to kind of kick start to do it, right? Whether it's once a week, twice a week, whatever your schedule can allow and will allow, just getting it started. Because as you know, sometimes it takes a bit for people to start that fitness journey, whereas others, something triggers them and they start right away and they don't stop. And I can tell you wholeheartedly that to this day, I will always be grateful that I came across great friends like Elaine Goodlad because they speak fitness, they breathe fitness, and they take in fitness as much as they can in a day. And she, and I'm hoping a lot more people, don't hesitate to share that wealth or share that passion of fitness because sometimes it all starts with a conversation, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to do it right away, but it starts with a conversation. Whether you meet for coffee, you meet for lunch. Yeah, I've always wanted to do it, but I lack motivation or I don't know where to begin or I don't know where to start. But again, those things can take place in a conversation. And before you know it, you're 3 months in and you're doing something good for yourself. And if I can share with you something that happened yesterday. So every Sunday to keep us kind of engaged and keep track of how everyone is doing. On Sunday nights at 6 p.m., Brian, it's automatic that I get on a Facebook video chat with like 8 to 10 moms. These are friends of mine for years because I may be okay. Others may not be okay. But that chat for an hour, Brian, you just break it out. How are you doing? What's going on? How are the kids? How is your relationship with your husband? I mean, it talks about everything and anything. And yesterday was an especially great day because one super mama, it's been a while. She's been wanting to get back into fitness. And, you know, we've had many talks about just go outside, just go for a walk. It's all good. You don't have to do workouts every day. Whatever you can do, whether it's 30 minutes, 25 minutes, whatever it is that you can do. And I haven't talked to her for a bit. We've been trying to get her on this call, but, you know, she's been really busy. But last night, she's like, guess what, guys? It's been about 5 weeks. I have knocked out from 7,000 steps a day. Now I'm up to 11,000 steps a day for like the last 4 to 5 weeks. And I'm like, wow, that's so awesome. Something triggered in her after all these phone calls that we've had every Sunday at 6 p.m. Something triggered. And sometimes you can be there to motivate somebody, but other times you just have to be supportive and not pushing them because it's literally at the end of the day up to them, right? And she shared that. She's like, yeah, it's been 4 to 5 weeks. I started with 6,000 steps and I thought I was just going to just lose it. but now I'm up to 10,000 steps a day. And while we were on that call, Brian, she was actually on a walk. And that was at 6 o'clock. And you know how hot it is here in Vegas. That was like 114 degrees last night. But she was doing it. And I'm like, and that made me feel so good. Whether it was our conversations, whether something happened in the last 4 weeks, whatever. But she's taken that step. And now she's like, I don't want to stop. Maybe tomorrow I can't really clock in 10,000 steps or whatever it takes. I've been doing it consistently. And I'm sure you can relate that when it comes to making sure that fitness is part of your life, it's being consistent. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to spend 2 hours in a day. No, it doesn't even mean you have to be in a gym. No, I mean, you just make it your own journey and you make the time for it. And whatever it is that you like to do, as long as you make that as part of your schedule every day, that's a great start. And for her, it's been walking and now to 10,000 steps a day, 5 weeks later. And that's such a great accomplishment. And I was just totally floored. I was so happy for her. And I can't wait to be in contact with her today to see what she's done. But yeah, I mean, that's what it is. You just have conversations. And if they want you to actually work out with them, set aside that hour, because that hour is golden. It not only makes you feel good that you've at least helped somebody else, but you just never know, especially nowadays, Brian, where everyone's head is at. That 1 hour could trigger them to have a great next couple weeks, whatever it is. So now more than ever, and I know that I have so much to say about this, now more than ever, connecting with people on that level where they can really feel that you're listening is it's so important nowadays. And now that we can't just be around people, I mean, the little things, Brian, high fives and fist pumps and hugs. I mean, I'm Filipino and I love hugging. And for that right now to not take place 100 times a day is just so heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
But, you know, we find other ways to do it, to connect with people. Facebook, FaceTime calls or Zoom calls with families. So there's just so much nowadays that we can do. I think just taking the time to do it and just being mindful that it could actually help somebody to even just have a 5-minute conversation over the phone. So that's where I'm at.
Did you ever get the memo? All you were doing was not easy to do, especially back then. Did someone just tell you that? And then what would have happened if you had got back on that plane? Because you never, I can't tell you how many actors and directors that I've interviewed to say, you know what, I came and I got the audition. I didn't want to go do it and I was sick. And a lot of times the pressure is down because you're not focused on it. Did you feel that was the same thing? You were getting on a plane, but you did the work. And then people recognize that.
Wow. I think that my inside voice at that time, like literally was in tune what I needed to do at that time. So it was never a thought of, wow, should I do this? If there's an opportunity, given that it's in the right place in my life and the circumstances at all will not interfere with anyone else's life, then it was the right thing to do. And my gosh, how great was that the producer called like 3 hours before my flight and said, it's yours. If you want the job, it's yours. I think there was just not even a window of saying no, but it was like, wow, I have never done this before. I could go back to Seattle and possibly live a normal life. Who knows, right? But I said yes to it without hesitation. And it was like the best thing that I could have done for myself because it led to all these great, amazing memories, life experiences that since then I've shared with others. When it comes to an opportunity, okay, it's just best that you go for it. If it feels right, if your gut tells you go for it, no worries, then you go for it. And I did. And to this day, it's just, it keeps reminding me of things where you just go with your gut, certain other things. And Brian, I would like to share with you that it hasn't been always easy. And I'm sure this applies to everyone's life. There hasn't always been a positive impact or a positive experience that I've gone through. There's been negative experiences, but just nowadays, I would rather just focus on the positive and what I can do to maybe inspire 1, 2, or 3 people with that positive experience. And through fitness, there's always a way to motivate people, whether it's a text or a phone call or even a post, a saying, or sharing your experience, whatever it is. That's the beauty of the world of fitness. There's always something that you can do to inspire somebody. There's just so many different ways. So being a mom, I totally understand, and I've taken into heart that everyone's busy, right? I get it. Being single, being a mom, being a business owner, we get it. But I think it's just prioritizing what's important, and that is yourself first, fitness first, and just knocking out that 1 hour in a day, because we can choose what we do with our 24 hours. Ideally, we sleep for 8. Ideally, we work for 8. And now we have this golden last 8 hours that we want to do with our time each day, right? So it's just a matter of really prioritizing what's important. You can always have a good time. You can always eat whatever you want, but it's just what's priority. I work out to fuel my body to be able to withstand what life gives me. I work out because it makes me feel good. And it's such a great start of my day. I feel lethargic when I don't put in an hour in a day to bed. I was 15. Wow, it's been X amount of years. But I love having this part of my life. And, there's nothing else but just be into fitness, learning more about my body, learning more about what I can do to fuel a 12-year-old daughter's body, what I can do to withstand certain health conditions, or, I barely get sick. And I know that is because I've chosen to live a healthy life. No, it doesn't mean that if I want a piece of cake, I'm going to have that piece of cake. Right? But I also know that it's not something I do every day. Therefore, it's good. Like, be good to your body, but also allow yourself to splurge, allow yourself to have a good time, and allow yourself to have a break, and allow yourself to have a vacation, and not, being in the gym 7 days a week, because that's no fun. I know people do that, and I respect that. But I've actually just made sure that on Sundays, Brian, no workouts, rather it's time with my family, Zoom chats with my family back home in Seattle, or not workouts, conversations with my daughter. Sundays, Brian, we've established in my home as silent Sundays. No gadgets, no TVs, nothing, no devices. Let's play a board game. Let's play a card game. Let's write each other notes. Like that, being in tune with somebody, is just so much. It's so important. And I know that sometimes my 12-year-old struggles, like, why do we have to do this? So we give each other a break, that maybe instead of 8 hours, it's 4 hours in a day. But now that we're back to
That's
school,
not easy
there's
to
just a
do.
lot.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah.
God, that's
Yeah.
creative. I like that. Two things I learned from you that one of them I'm going to do. I'm going to start doing that once a month with my team, some kind of way, because we can't get together, so we do our Zoom shows with everybody else. That's like the best that we can do now, and we all like each other.
Yes.
You said about hugs and stuff like that. We can't hug each other, and that's frustrating.
Yep.
1, 2, 3,
Absolutely.
3, my co-hosts I haven't seen in a year, but we're always doing our shows every couple of days. But I'm like, we haven't seen each other, and we used to getting each other, going out to dinner, having some drinks, and it's hard to do that.
Yes. And so I have family in Seattle, family in Australia, family in the Philippines. So there's 41 immediate family members.
Oh my
We
God.
make it a, I know, it's like overwhelming. A lot of squares on that Zoom call. So we make it a point every Sunday or every Saturday, depending on everyone's availability, to be on that call, celebrating each other's birthdays. This is a tough time. This is like the biggest test of life for all of us. We have never gone through anything like this before. So more important is the connection. So yes, Brian, every Sunday, I connect with my super mama friends. Every Saturday, I connect with my family members from all over the world. And we celebrate birthdays as much as we can. So we had an August 1st birthday of my mom turning 87. My sister-in-law turning 33 yesterday. So now we have another Zoom chat just focusing on August birthdays. September rolls around, it's another brother's birthday. It's my dad's 93rd birthday. So we make a big deal out of it. We have balloons, or we have video, whatever. We put together a video of everyone's pictures or whatever it is. We have to make it seem as though we're together. And my heart is aching that I haven't seen my family since February 15th. The last time we were together up in Seattle was for my niece's wedding, who is now pregnant and expecting in December. So we're a very close-knit family. We love being in each other's company. And right now, I know that it's a struggle for all, but we have to find little windows of ways to keep in touch. I mean, Brian, when was the last time someone wrote you a letter and sent it in the mail?
I know.
That's just.
I love that. I had one co-host who used to always send me little that, and I love that. It's important, you know.
Yes.
I was that person that would go by to that person's house and knock on the door and leave a package, or say, hey, come with me.
Aww.
Come, let's go to the Four Seasons and let's go have fun. Oh, by the way, I'm going to interview someone that you've always wanted to meet today. That's what we can't do that more now. So you, like you said, you have to be a lot more creative. Or, I think at the time I sat down with Jillian Michaels and, Bob Harper when they started, The Biggest Loser. I can't see half of them anymore. And that's not fun, because they're going through stuff too.
Exactly.
I was there when she was that little girl, California girl, and I'll never forget. Jillian, she's in line, and NBC had this big spread, and I go, Jillian, what are you gonna eat? And she just went straight to the salad. She goes, this is all I can have. I go, really? Why is that? Because I'll get fat from anything else, and I'm starting the show on The Biggest Loser, and I can't be a little fat Southern California chick. And I never forgot that she said that, and we just started laughing. That was the start of our friendship. And when was that? 03, 06? I don't remember what year it was, but that's when it started. So a lot of my friends like that, we can't see each other anymore, and that's tough. So for me, I've never been married. I don't have any kids, but I've been around with all those people like that, so I understand the frustrations that they go through, and I can see it. So yes, going back to the calling, that's what I'm good at doing. I'm good at calling and then going by, but now you can't go by. I could still revert back to calling, still the same bang.
Absolutely. Yeah. For Mother's Day, I actually went around, dropped off presents for about 12 super mama friends of mine, and I just left at the front door. But yeah, I mean, nowadays, you're right, just being really creative and interacting with people and being in touch with people. So I usually make it a point to reach out via text, or I have to respect people's wishes sometimes that they're at work, and phone calls can't really be entertained. So I make it a point every day to reach out via text and say hi to somebody, at least 10 people a day. Just automatic, hey, how are you doing? How's everyone doing at your, how's your family doing? Are you working? Because again, everyone's in a different situation right now, whether it's work related or school related. So just reaching out is just so much more important nowadays than ever before. And Brian, you've been doing it all this time, right? Reaching out via phone. And so nowadays people are just getting into that mode.
I went into lockdown February 25th. I was coming back from Los Angeles. I was interviewing Sergio Mendes at the Grammy Museum, 10 after 9 that Tuesday. That's it. But I had been preparing for all of this since 2018, so I knew. I just didn't know what the name of the was going to be. So yes, I've been in lockdown since February 25th, so I can understand what that's like. You're more of a family person. I'm more of my friends are my family. My family's my acquaintance.
Right. Exactly. So
give your social media links.
I'm sorry?
Your social media links.
Oh, so on Instagram, it's Chinggay Andrada. Same thing on Twitter. Same thing on Facebook. So as far as what I'm currently doing right now, I actually am part of a podcast. It's called Filipino News Podcast. It airs every week, probably on Fridays. I'm not sure what schedule we have this week, but it's on there. We're working on our 6th episode. It just talks about, what's going on in the Philippines. You can find out Spotify, TuneIn, Apple, and Stitcher. Then on Friday nights, it's been such a great blessing. Brian, because I used to do a sports show in the Philippines called Sports TV. And because of what's been going on the last 5 months, we've been in touch. And so about 14 weeks ago, we decided to start a Facebook live show called Game Na. So on our 14th episode, we usually interview athletes, Philippine athletes, celebrities. And it's been such a fun Friday night because it airs Saturday at 11 a.m. in the Philippines. And we get together Friday nights here at 8 p.m. And it's been so much fun to reconnect with old friends, old colleagues, talking about sports and fitness. It's been a really good time. So, a lot of blessings, but then, it's just, we've found ways to cope. We've found ways to connect, and we found ways to interact with people. So that's been a blessing to me and for me. So yeah, on Friday nights, 8 p.m., Game Na airs on Facebook Live. And then the Filipino News Podcast, you can find on Apple, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Spotify once a week.
I think that's great.
That's what I've been up to.
Congratulations on that. That's a great thing to do.
Thank you.
Coolest name that I've ever seen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
She named you and your dad, they named you correctly.
Oh, nice. Thank you so much. And then I know you talked about Jillian Michaels. If I could share with you, that was probably such a great fitness experience for me. Because so after I left the Philippines in 2006, I actually started living in Vegas. And I was here for 4 years, 2006 to 2010. And around 2010, TV network that I used to work for in the past, ABS-CBN, actually reached out to me and asked if I would be a trainer on a local version of The Biggest Loser. And so I was given that opportunity, the greatest opportunity. So from 2010 till the end of 2011, we shot the first season of Biggest Loser Philippines. So that was such a great experience for me. I was a trainer of the Red Team. To this day, wow, it's been almost a decade. I am still in touch with all of the team members of the Red Team. And the greatest thing, Brian, is that from that show and from all the contestants meeting each other, we actually, 2 couples came out of that experience, meaning that they met on the show and they are now married. And one actually is with a daughter and now lives in California. So that's been like the greatest joy. It's awesome. Rafi and Hazel Tan they've been married for 4 to 5 years, but they met on the show.
That's great.
They were teammates, and then they found love, and now they're married of 5 years.
And you were
the other couple, Art Mendoza. From the get-go, they just got along so well. They had, a great chemistry. I think it was just, oh goodness, it was just so great to witness that. It was awesome. Another couple who met on the show, Art Mendoza and Angela. Now, at the time, Angela actually joined the show because she wanted to lose weight. Her doctor told her that she had to lose weight in order to have a child. They now have a baby daughter.
Wow.
But it's just been, those kind of stories have lived and will always be a part of me. And I'm just so honored and so blessed to have been part of that show. It was a great experience. It's good to know that in 2020, we're all still in touch. I call them my team. We're all still in touch. We were actually just on a Instagram, IG chat about a month ago. So we're going to make that a monthly thing to be in touch, to see how everyone's doing. I know that we're all living in different parts of the world, but that will always connect us. That back in 2010, 2011, they barely knew each other, but they met through a show called Biggest Loser Philippines. So that's always going to be in my life.
And you had something to do with it. I'm blaming it on you.
Oh, well, thank you. Oh, gosh.
I know you did. I can just tell.
Why, thank you, Brian. So, yes, just many more go ahead. I'm sorry?
Your social media links one last time.
Yes, I'm Chinggay Andrada on IG, as well as Facebook and Twitter. And I promise I'll be more active on the other social media accounts. Filipino News Podcast, you can find on Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, and Apple. It's a weekly podcast show to talk about everything there's to know about the Philippines. It's actually that we will be reaching out to the viewers and the listeners to see how they can be part of the show, because I'll be launching a fitness segment on that podcast sometime in September. And then Game Na is on Facebook Live. It airs Friday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific time, and it airs at 11 a.m. Saturday in the Philippines. But obviously, you can tune in and watch the show all over the world on Facebook Live. And then you can also find our IG and Facebook pages for Game Na. We are Game Na. So lots of things happening. I am just so honored to be part of all these different shows, and to think that back in March, these were not even in our thoughts, right? In our minds. So I'm glad people who just decided, let's just do it. Let's make this happen. Just like I am thankful and grateful for having a great best friend named Elaine Goodlad, who led me to you, Brian. So I'm hoping that this is not a one-time interview, because I would love to ask you the questions about your life, because you sound like you've lived a very blessed, fitness-filled life. So I hope you would grant me that chance to interview you sometime for any of my shows, because it's time to turn the table and know everything there's to know about you. Because if you're dating back that you've been inspired by fitness back in 1984, that is a mountain full of experiences that you can share with the world. So I hope I have that chance to interview you.
You let me know, and I'll be honored to come on there, because I've always loved the Philippine culture and tradition. When I first worked at Coast Guard Academy as a civilian, earlier on, I won't say how old because I don't care anyhow, but it was one of those things where I loved the music, I loved the tradition. I didn't know how big the Filipino community was, and Filipino in the Coast Guard Academy. And I had no idea. And I always paid attention to that on the East Coast back then in Connecticut. So yeah, I would be honored to come on your show. I might take over your show and pretend I could speak your language.
Nice. And just a little side note, it's been an incredible transformation too for the Philippines, if you can believe that, in the fitness industry. When I used to be part of that show back in 2010, I mean, the amount of gyms that they had in the Philippines were just, just a few. But now in 2020, Brian, they have exploded. There
Wow.
are so many different gyms there that I would love to share with you another time. But that's kind of what I want to do too with that fitness segment on my podcast and Facebook Live, is that it's expose just how much the Philippines, how much they've grown when it comes to the fitness industry, and how much everyone is so involved with fitness, whether it's healthy eating, whether it's the training sessions. It's been an incredible transformation from the time that I was there back in 2010, now 10 years later. It's incredible. So I can't wait. And yes, I'm glad to hear that you love everything about the Philippines. I'm sure that you've had Filipino food. Yes.
I'm missing it right now. I mean, I want to have Thai food too. I mean, that's the thing I miss. I mean,
I know.
I ordered out twice, and believe it or not, it was on. I had a pizza cheat day. I wanted
That's
to
good.
reward
That's a good
myself.
cheat day.
That was it.
Yes. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of great Thai restaurants, a lot of great Filipino restaurants here in Vegas. I'm always going to be a fan of Tina's on Jones, if I can plug, because she's such a hardworking, that's really her name, Tina, and she owns a restaurant. Let's see, Thai food restaurants that I like, Brian, I would
Wait
have
a
to say
minute. I
Archie's
think I went to that one.
or Pink. Yes.
I think I
Tina's
went to that
on
one.
Jones?
I think I went there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good stuff. And it's actually Tina back there cooking. She's the chef slash owner. So she's very hands-on. She's such a great lady. Yeah. So Tina's and Archie's too. I had Archie's yesterday. I was craving for Thai food yesterday, so I had that. So yeah, a lot of great Thai restaurants and Filipino restaurants here in Vegas. And speaking of Thai, that's also my other favorite workout, Brian, is Muay Thai, right? Thai kickboxing. I love that art form. Oh, it's awesome. That's also my other side hustle that we're not able to do right now because we're not able to have events. So Lion Fight, it's the world's premier Muay Thai promotions company that I've been reporting for gosh, the last 6 or 7 years. So we usually have about 6 events a year. Currently, we're not able to have any events at all just because obviously it's a contact sport. So whenever we're able to have that on hand, we'll definitely have the events. We usually have it here in Vegas and in Connecticut and a couple in California. But we do have one coming up in Italy. I believe August 29th is the date of that one that we're a part of. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to be there, but that event will go on in Italy. And any information that you would want to chime in to all things Lion Fight will be through www.lionfight.com. So that's my other side hustle that I'm very honored and I'm very passionate about, the art of the 8 limbs called Muay Thai.
And with that, man, I'm honored that you had time to come on Movie Reviews of the stuff that you're doing. No wonder you had to cancel one thing. Now I get it. You were busy, mom, a 12-year-old, all the other stuff that you were doing. I get it now, And that's why I tell people, you have to always say yes because you just don't know how busy people are. And I tell people, everybody's busy. Even a homeless person is busy trying to find out where they're going to live for that night. And it's the case. So with that, I want to thank you for being on Movie Reviews and More. And yes, I would be honored to come on your show because you don't give the people the chance to turn the tides on. I mean, I think the last time it happened, it was Howard Stern. But yes, I will let you do that.
How long ago was that? How long ago was that, Brian?
I saw Howard is when he became the judge again for America's Got Talent. He actually came back to California and we got a chance to get together for a little bit. And that was fun because I hadn't seen my friend when we first started back in radio in Connecticut. That's how he started.
Oh, goodness. It's been a long time.
Uh-huh.
So let's make it happen.
Okay. You pick the date in your busy mom schedule who doesn't even look like she's mom because she looks too happy. You let me know and we'll make
Thank you.
It's
a good day. That's why I look like this. It's a good day. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't believe it. You Thai women are just always beautiful. You just have that radiant skin. I'm not falling for that. I am not. So with that,
I do have one question before we go.
Yes.
What's been your go-to feel good these days, Brian? At any time you kind of feel a bit stressed, and you kind of feel a bit let's see, you're being tested. What do you do so that you're feeling good again? It puts you back to...
I immediately either watch a movie or I put on what my number one love, which is drum and bugle corps music. So think of marching band, but it's marching band on steroids. That and I don't get stressed because I'm not in any debt. I don't have any of those problems. Like I said, I've never been married. I don't have any kids. Yeah. And then my birthday is in September too. So what day is your dad's?
September 3.
Okay. So I'm the 26th. So I'm part of the
September 26th.
So not George, Barbara Walters, Jack LaLanne. Remember Jack LaLanne? He and I were born on.
Yes, of course.
Will Smith, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Michael Douglas, Olivia Newton-John, and there's like 5 others that I'm not forgetting. We all used to celebrate our birthdays at one point. You can imagine that.
Nice. So yes, I have a good friend who's celebrating his birthday on that day, September 26th, Wilson Fernandez. So yeah, it's a great day to celebrate you. And I hope you don't mind. I'm going to really celebrate you on that day on social media. Are you one of those that you'd rather celebrate silently? I'm sorry?
I think I'm going to have Filipino food that day now that I think.
Yes, awesome. How about this? I'll make sure that you have Filipino food on that day, courtesy of Miss Tina.
Yeah. That'll be
Yeah,
great.
so whatever. Awesome. So whatever you want on that day, you shall get, Brian. Filipino
Okay.
food.
Maybe would she let me interview her?
Of course. Oh my goodness. She would love to. Oh my gosh. She would love to.
I
I will
would do
reach out to
that.
her.
I'm all about women
Nice.
empowerment and gender empowerment. That's very, very important. That's one of the things. Well, when you interview me, you'll learn a lot more. I've always told Kevin Bacon, Kevin, you're just a little bit, you're old 6 degrees of separation. I'm the new 6 degrees of separation. Jackson is really the 6 degrees of separation because everybody's worked with him. And Kevin just
Aw.
out laughing. I go, no, Kevin, it's true. You wait and see.
Well, Brian, we appreciate you for taking the time to interview women and highlighting their accomplishments and what they've done. Because again, if that inspires other women to do the same, we thank you for taking the time to do that. We appreciate it very much.
Well, this is your world. This is the age of Aquarius. We're supposed to be able to support women these days. And for us guys that get that, we're right there in balance. For the other guys that don't get it, they've fallen behind. You know, you got to catch up because, hey, we're here to support. You know, it's been on
That
for too long, right? Look at what you started way, way back in the day. And like I said, I know it couldn't have been easy, but look where you are. A happy woman with a 12-year-old who doesn't look like a mom. That's amazing. During a pandemic. That's not normal. So with that, I'm going to end. This is Brian Sebastian. Thank you so much for being on Movie Reviews and More. And you are coming back because I want you to meet the other co-hosts and they would get a kick out of you. And then with that, Women on TV, .tv, iTunes 247 out of Franklin, Tennessee, Worldwide TV Network, which is formerly the Women's Broadcast TV Network. And if you see someone out of Smile, take Chinggay because the world needs it. We will see you next week.